Hello students, welcome to today's lecture on compiler design. In our previous class, we have discussed about top-down parser. Uh, Today, we will discuss about the bottom-up parsers. Uh, if you recollect the definition of bottom-up parsing, bottom-up parser constructs a parse tree for an input string, beginning at leaves and going towards the root. Leaves means we begin with the string and then we derive the start symbol of the grammar. So to understand this, for example, say this is the grammar. S implies small a, capital V, small e. Capital A implies capital A, small b, small c, or small b, and capital B implies small d. There are a total of three variables, S, A, and B. Capital letters are variables, small letters are terminals. Okay. And let us say we want to reduce this. That means we want to construct a parse tree as a bottom-up parse tree. The process will be we begin with the string, and we try to reduce the symbols in the string so that we get this start symbol yes. Okay. So let us understand this process. So for small a, it considers one symbol at a time. For first symbol small a, there is nothing we can replace. Okay. And if you see this small b, for small b, we can replace this small b with an equivalent LHS variable. That means small b can be replaced by the variable small e. So this is replaced by small capital A. And then if you look at this string capital A, B, C, you can replace it with capital A. Capital ABC can be replaced with its leftmost left LHS symbol, capital A. So you can remove this capital ABC with its LHS, capital A, followed by DE is already there. Now small d can be replaced with capital B. Why? Because B derives small d. Now it becomes small a, capital B, E. If you look at this small a, capital B, E, it can be replaced by the start symbol yes. So starting with the input string, if you can derive the start symbol or start variable of the corresponding grammar, it means the corresponding string is part of the language represented by this grammar. So this is how it works. Bottom-up parsing always works like this. It begins with the string and derives the start symbol of the grammar. If you remember what happens in top-down parsing, we start with the uh, initial variable, start variable of the grammar, that is from yes, and then we try to derive the corresponding string. So it is absolutely opposite to this. Whereas in bottom-up parsing, we begin with the input string and we try to derive the symbol s. Whereas in top-down parsing, we begin with the start symbol, start variable capital S, and we try to derive the string. These two are opposite to each other. Now, if you observe this in reverse order, it is like deriving the string using rightmost derivation in reverse order. See this. If you start at S, then S can be replaced by AA, BA. And then the rightmost variable is B. So B is replaced by D. Okay. And then capital A. Capital A is replaced by capital ABC. And finally, this capital A is replaced by B. So if you observe, this is rightmost derivation in reverse order. So the bottom-up parsing can be viewed as the rightmost derivation in reverse order. Okay. So this process, going back to yes, it resembles the rightmost derivation, the RMD process in reverse order. Okay. So you must understand this word handle because it is saying uh, you are always going to replace the part of a string with its corresponding variable on LHS, right? So, for example, here small b is replaced by capital A because A is deriving small b. So here small b is called as a handle. Handle is nothing but the substring on RHS which matches with RHS of the productions in the grammar, and then we can replace it with the corresponding LHS variable. That is called a handle. Okay, so you need to understand that handle because we are going to replace that handle only. In bottom up parsing, we always try to see a handle and then we try to replace it with any LHS symbol. Okay, handle always should match with one of the RHS of the productions. Okay, and repeatedly by substituting this with the corresponding LHS variable, we get the corresponding input. We go back to the start variable of the corresponding grammar. This is called replacing that handle with the LHS variable is called handle pruning. Okay, and all the bottom-up parsers. There are many types of bottom-up parsers. We have discussed about the bottom-up parsers in our previous one of the previous lectures. Types of parsers. There are many types of bottom-up parsers available, and every bottom-up parser makes use of this shift reduce technique. The general shift reduce technique is if there is no handle on the stack, then shift. That means there are two operations. Either you shift a particular symbol onto the stack or you reduce a particular handle by its LHS. So these two operations are crucial. Either we perform a shift operation or we perform a reduce operation, or other than these two, there might be two other operations. One is the string is accepted or the string is rejected. Okay, so bottom up parsing is essentially a process of detecting handles and reducing them. So it always relies on this technique, and the way it identifies the handle and reduces will be differed based on the technique we use. Okay, so as you uh, we will see that later how many types of bottom up parsers are there and how they detect these handles. We'll see that later. We'll discuss about one by one later. But let us discuss about the problems with this shift reduce technique. So in general shift reduce technique, there will be two problems that we may encounter. One is shift reduce conflict and the other one is reduce conflict. That means uh, there may be two options available at a particular point of time while applying that parsing technique, either to shift or to reduce. When both the options are available, it is said to be a shift reduce conflict. Okay, and let us understand this with an example. First, we will try to see what is a shift reduce conflict. If you look at this example, this is the grammar and this is the string which we want to derive. Let us say already id plus id is already derived as e plus e, which is on stack, and this is the remaining string star id. Now the possibility is either you can reduce by e implies e plus e because e plus e is a handle which is matching with this, so that we can replace this e plus e by its LHS capital E. So this is one possible option. So at this point of time, you have this option reduce e implies e plus e. So reduce operation is available. If you look at the same example here, I can shift the star onto the stack also. Star can be shifted to stack also. So shift option is also available for the same situation. So for this situation, Stack is having E plus C, input is having star ID. Stack is having E plus C, input is having star ID. I have two options. One is to reduce it or to shift the inputs. So which one to use is the conflict. So either to shift star onto stack or the reduce E plus E by capital E. This is called shift reduce conflict. And the other one is reduce conflict. Let us have a look at the example for reduce conflict also. So assume this grammar, M implies R plus R plus C, R implies C. And let us say this is the input string I want to produce, C plus C with the help of the shift reduce parsing. Okay. So input is C plus C. Initially, because there is nothing on stack, we simply shift it onto stack. And immediately on stack, we have a handle, small c. So we replace it by R, because whenever we identify a handle, we reduce it by the corresponding LHS symbol R. So C is now capital R. And the remaining string is same, plus C. Now we go with shift operation. Okay. Then C is also moved, another shift operation. So now at this level, up to this point it is same. Now it is R plus C on stack, and we have nothing left on input. Here also R plus C on stack, we have nothing left on input. Now if you see, R plus C matches with the handle M. Okay, and also if you look at this R plus C, C matches with the top of the stack matches with the capital R, this handle. So R plus C matches here, C matches here. So what are the two options here? Either you can reduce this C symbol C with the help of this production, R implies C, or you can use the production M implies R plus C, and you will get capital M directly. Okay, so what is the problem here? At this level, we have two types of reduce options. Either reduce it by R implies C, or reduce it by M implies R plus C. So this problem is called reduce conflict. Okay. So these are the general problems that we encounter with the shift reduce parsers. To overcome it, we'll discuss about these conflicts can be overcome with more powerful parsers. We will discuss about all the parsers available here. So LR parsers are generally classified into four categories: LR of 0, SLR, LALR, CLR. Four types of parsers are available. In each of them, LR stands for L stands for left to right scanning of the input. So the input is always scanned from left to right. And R stands for the construction of derivation trees in rightmost derivation in reverse. RMD in reverse. I have shown an example for this bottom of parsing. I have shown this RMD in reverse also at the beginning slide. Okay, and the K inside the bracket represents the number of input symbols used for look ahead to make the parsing decision. In LR of 0, there will be no symbol considered for look ahead, so there will be problems with this parser. We are not going to discuss this LR of 0 parser at the initial level. After completing these three parsers, then we will discuss about this to understand what are the problems with LR of 0. Okay, we'll go like this. The remaining sessions will be like this. We'll discuss about SLR first, then we discuss about LALR, and then we discuss about CLR. Okay, right. In general, any LR parser, irrespective of the type, any LR parser makes use of this general approach. This is the schematic diagram of LR parsing technique, in which parser driver is the program which controls everything, which is connected to a stack, input buffer, and a parse table. Here, a parse table, LR parse table, is again divided into two parts. You need to observe this. LR parse table consists of two parts. One is action table, and the other one is go to table. So LR parse table is a combination of two subtables, action table and go to table, or action part or go to part. You can think like that. And a stack is always connected with the driver program, and the input buffer contains the corresponding input string which we want to parse it using LR parser. Okay. And action table contains the state and terminal symbols. Okay, action table is constructed for state and terminal symbols, and go to table is constructed for state and variables. So for this combination, state and variable combination, we build this go to table. For state and non these terminal symbols, we build action table. We'll see later how these tables will be built. If you can understand how to build this parse table, then you will be able to uh, understand everything else. So the most difficult part of this entire thing is building this parse table. Okay, and these are the steps involved in building an SLR parser. First thing is the grammar should not contain any ambiguity. So you need to check for the ambiguity. If at all any ambiguity is there, you simply remove it. We discussed about how this ambiguity can be removed from a grammar. We discussed about it. And also you need to check for left recursion and left factoring. If at all anything is required, you need to apply the eliminate the left recursion and also perform that left factoring, right? And once that ambiguity is removed from the grammar, the second step is you need to add a new production which is called as argument production. Argument production for the given grammar. This is not a big step. It is simply adding another production. A new production will be added. It's a simple thing. I'll show you later how this argument production will be added. And this is the most crucial part of building our SLR parse table. Canonical collection of LR of 0 items. You need to create the canonical collection of LR of 0 items, probably the most difficult part of our SLR parsing algorithm. Now, once these are generated, then the remaining thing is going to be easier. You can easily calculate, you can easily draw the data flow diagram to understand the relationship between the states generated by this canonical collection of LR of 0 items, and then we can build the SLR parse table from this diagram. Okay, these are the steps involved. So let us see the steps involved with the help of an example. Say this is the grammar. This is an example grammar I am considering. S implies capital A, capital A. Capital A implies small a, capital A, or D. Okay. Now, so this is the grammar. And what is our first step? Ambiguity of the grammar. If you look at this grammar, there is no ambiguity here, and there is no left recursion. There is no left factoring also. Okay. No common prefixes. So left factoring is not required. There is no common variable on LHS and RHS. So no left recursion also. So this is perfectly all right. The grammar is not having any ambiguity. Now, what is our second step? Second step is add argument production in the given grammar. Observe this. Adding argument production is simply adding a new variable, let us say S dash, and deriving the start symbol of the corresponding grammar. What is the start symbol of the grammar here? Capital S. So S dash is the new variable deriving the start symbol of the given grammar. So S dash implies S. Adding this new production converts our grammar into augmented grammar G dash. Okay, so adding this a single production, right? Now our grammar is augmented grammar. So step 2 is done. Next, create canonical collection of LR of 0 items. Third step. So you need to observe this very carefully, listen carefully to understand how exactly it is done. Canonical collection of LR of 0 items are nothing but the productions with a special dot at some position on RHS of the production. So we'll use a dot to represent how much part of the RHS is processed till now, and the remaining part. What is the remaining part that we need to process? Okay, so this is what we are going to see now. Uh, we will understand this canonical collection of LR of 0 items with the same example that we considered here. This is called this is augmented grammar, and now let us understand how to generate the canonical collection of LR of 0 items for this grammar. Okay, right. So the first thing is uh, we put a dot at the first position for every reproduction of this augmented grammar. Okay, so there are 4 productions. Okay, actually this is an augmented production added. This is the existing production, this is an existing production, and this is an existing production. A is having 2 productions. Okay, I split it into 2 parts. Okay, now what happened here, a special dot is put at the first position of every production in the augmented grammar. Right, this is our first thing for producing the canonical LR of 0 items. Now the first state, I0 state. To produce I0 state, what we need to do is we need to find the closure of the first production. What is that first production? S dash implies dot S, right? So this is the first production, augmented production. So find the closure of this production so that you get I0 state. Okay, so I0 is equal to closure of the first production. What is it? S dash implies dot S, right? Now, it is not yet finished. The closure means that for the production, you look into the RHS, then if there is a variable on RHS after this dot, remember, listen carefully this point. If there is a variable after the dot, then add all the productions of that variable as part of this I naught. So initially it is S dot implies dot S because we have a variable capital S after this dot. We add all the productions of capital S. What are the productions of capital S? We have one production. S implies dot A. So we add it. S implies dot A. It is added. Now again, you need to see, is there a variable after dot? Yes. We have capital A here. Dot followed by capital A. So again, repeat the same step. Add all the productions of capital A into I naught. What are the productions of capital A? A implies dot small a capital A and A implies dot B. So we add those 2 productions also. Okay. Now look at this. Do we have a variable after dot? No. So there is nothing left here. And do we have a variable over here? No. After dot it is terminal. So if you have a terminal after dot, then there is no need to do anything over here. Okay. So it is done. We have generated all the productions of I naught. I naught is the first state of your canonical LR of 0 items. Okay. Now let us generate the other states also. So once this part is completed, the thing is from I naught state, we need to look for from I naught state what happens if S is encountered. That will be I1 state. Then from I naught state, what happens if capital A is observed? That will become I2 state. So I naught on small a, I3 state. I naught on small b, I4 state. So for every symbol after dot, you generate the corresponding new states from I naught. So the remaining combinations are I naught comma capital S, I naught comma capital A, okay, and I3. Where is I3? I naught comma small a, and then I naught comma small b. Okay, so I1 is equal to go to of I naught comma S. That means, let me show this diagram directly so that you will understand it immediately. So the thing is, these are the first sets we have generated for I naught. S dash implies dot S, S implies dot A implies dot A or dot B. So I explained this. Now we are going to produce the new states on I naught on S, I naught on capital A, I naught on small a, I naught on small b. What are these capital S, capital A, small a, and small b? These are the symbols after dot. So for every symbol after dot, produce a new state from I naught. Okay, so I1, I2, I3, I4 will be produced. So what will happen now? What happens is I naught on S, you simply move the dot after S. Okay, so dot is moved to the next position of capital S. Okay, and then let us understand this carefully. On capital A, this production, the second production, dot is put over here, that is S implies A dot A, and because after dot there is a variable capital A, add all the productions of capital A over here. So what are the productions of capital A? Capital A productions are dot small a capital A or dot B. So A implies dot small a capital A or dot B are added here, right? And because after dot small a small b are there is nothing we can do here. If terminal is available after dot, don't do anything. If variable is available after dot, add all the productions of that variable into that corresponding state. Okay, so I2 is complete. Now, on small a, what will happen? Keep the dot over here, a dot a. You will get capital A implies a dot capital A. So after dot, we have a variable here. So add all the productions of capital A. Capital A productions are dot A small a or dot B. So dot A small a dot B. These two are added. And because these two productions contains terminals after dot, it is completed. Okay. And I4 on B, just move the dot after B. So there is nothing is there after dot. So it is completed. I4 is completed. So I1, I2, I3, I4 are completed. Now from I1, we have no symbols after dot. So it is completed. No other state will be generated from I1. From I2, after dot, that is capital A. Therefore, you generate a new production on A. Okay. Okay. Now, what happens? Move this dot after capital A. So one more position is shifted. It becomes capital S implies A dot, and because there is no symbol available after dot, it is completed. So it is I5. And then from I2 on A, On A, if you move it, A dot capital A, it will become, if you observe, it is same as this, A dot capital A, and from A, it will generate two more productions, which is nothing but I3. So that is the reason why it is connected to I3 again. So I2 on small a is producing I3 again. Therefore, it is connected over here. No need to write the same set multiple times in the diagram. Okay, because it is also generating the same set. We will connect it to I3 directly. And on B, it produces this I4. By we'll move this dot after B, so it becomes A implies B dot, which is nothing but I4. So from I2 on small a is connected to I3. From I2 on small b is connected to I4, because the same productions will be generated by the corresponding canonical sets. Okay, and from I3 here it is on capital A. From I3 on capital A. So from I3 on capital A, simply move that dot after capital A. So what will happen? A capital A dot, and there is nothing after dot, so it is completed. Let us name it as I6, because the set of production generated is new. Okay, and then from here uh, on small a, it is going to be a dot a, which is nothing but this. Again, it produces the same three variables. Therefore, I3 on small a is connected to I3 itself, because it will produce the same three productions again. You can calculate it later. And I3 on B is connected to I4, because dot will be moved over here, which produces the same production as I4. Okay, therefore it is connected to I4. Right? So this part is completed. And from I5, we have no symbol after dot. From I6, we have no symbol after dot. So it is completed. Now, all the canonical LR of 0 items are produced. Right? Now, what is the remaining things? After generating the canonical LR of 0 items, what is the next step? Draw a data flow diagram. I have shown that data flow diagram also, and connect the corresponding states based on the set of items generated over there. And the last step is construction of SLR parsing table. This is crucial part. Once you get this, building the parse table will be easier now. Let us understand how to do it. This is the parse table, which consists of two parts. One is action part and the other one is go to part. If you observe, action part contains the terminals. What are the terminals in our grammar? Terminals are small a and small b. If you observe, small a and small b are the terminals. So A, B, and a special terminal always used dollar to indicate the end of input string. Why dollar is kept as end of the input string? Therefore, this dollar is also considered as part of the terminals, because input string contains only terminals, right? So the terminals in the grammar and a special terminal dollar, these three are used in action part. So it depends on your grammar. If your grammar contains 5 terminals, then action table contains 6 columns, 5 terminals followed by dollar. And go to table contains variables. In our grammar, it is there are two variables, capital A and capital S. So we write the corresponding variables over here. You don't need to write the augmented variable here. You need to write only the variables given in the original grammar. Okay. Then these are the states that are generated by canonical LR of items I0 to I6. Okay, so they will form the rows. So rows are the states, columns are action part and go to part. Action part contains the terminals, go to part contains the variables. So once you prepare with this, how to fill these entries? This is what we need to understand. So filling these entries is very easy. Let us understand this. If a state is going to some other state on a terminal, then it corresponds to a shift move. I will read it again. If a state is going to some other state on a terminal, so it corresponds to a shift move. So in any LR parser, there will be two operations: shift operation and reduce operation. Here S means shift operation, R means reduce operation. A state moving to other state on a terminal indicates shift operation. So where is it? From I0 on these two terminals, it is moving to I3 and I4. So I0 comma small a is shift 3. I0 comma small b is shift 4. So let us fill it. I0 comma small a is shift 3, S3. I0 comma small b is shift 4, S4. This number is state number. S stands for shift operation. Okay, 3 is, it is going to state 3. That means the meaning is from I0 on small a, it is going to state 3. Therefore, perform a shift operation. That is the meaning. Okay. Again. So that is how we fill all the shift operations. And what are the other things, other terminals over here? From I2, look at the terminals on arrows. This is a terminal. From I2 on small a, it is going to I3. That means I2 on a is shift 3. I2 on small a is shift 3. Okay. Again, on I3 with small a, it is going back to same. That means I3 on small a is shift 3 again. I3 on small a is shift 3 again. Okay. So what about I2 on B? I2 on B is going to I4. Therefore, it is shift 4. I2 on B is shift 4. I think you are following this. It is easy to fill this table. And I3 on B, this is I3 state. I3 on B is going to I4. What does it mean? Shift 4. I3 on B is shift 4. So I3 on B is shift 4. Okay. Any other terminal? No. So there are 4 terminals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 terminals are there. So your table should contain 6 shift operations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now read this. If a state is going to some other state on a variable, then it corresponds to go to move. So on a variable corresponds to go to move. So I0 on a variable capital S and capital A is moving to I1 and I2. So what we write is we simply write the corresponding state number. So I0 on capital S is 1. I0 on capital S, this is I0. I0 on capital S is 1. Just write the state number. Okay. Similarly, I0 on capital A is I2. So just write the state number 2. I0 on capital A is 2. Okay. Similarly, what are the other variables? On arrows, just look for the arrows with the variables. 2 more are there. What is it? I2 on capital A is going to I5. So this combination, I2 on capital A is 5. I2 on capital A is 5. Okay. Then what is this? This is I3. I3 on capital A is 6. I3 on capital A is 6. And variables are completed. There are 4 variables on arrows. So you should get 4 values in go to table. Okay. And the third one corresponds to the reduce operation. If a state contains the final item in the particular row, then it corresponds to reduce. What does final item means? There is no symbol after dot. there is no symbol after dot. So this one. So I1 corresponds to the reduce operation. No symbol after dot. So how to write it? This corresponds to accept. Why? The reason is you completed this. Yes, we are trying to derive the start variable, and you derived it. Therefore, accept it. Okay. Otherwise, reduce it. Right. Let us understand this now. Uh, I4, I4 on small a. Look at this. I4 on uh, see, I4 corresponds to, look at this, I4 corresponds to A implies B dot. So let us number the productions. Let us number the productions. We have, in the original grammar, we have three productions, right? We have three productions. What are the three productions? Capital S implies capital A, capital A. Capital A implies small a, capital A. Capital A implies B. So number these productions in the same order. This is 1, and this is 2, and this is 3. Okay. So capital A implies B is the third production. Capital A implies small a, capital A is second production. Capital S implies capital A is first production. So now let us understand. So this I4 corresponds to A implies B dot. What is the number of this production? It is 3. A implies capital B is third production. Therefore, I4, the entire row, I4 corresponds to R3. This 3 represents the production number with which production you are trying to reduce. So reduce with 3, reduce with 3, reduce with 3. Okay. And then I5. What are the other things? I5. There is nothing after dot. What is the production number? S implies capital A is the first production. Production number is 1. Therefore, I5, the entire row corresponds to R1. Reduce 1. R1, R1, R. Okay. And this one I6 corresponds to A implies small a, capital A, which is nothing but second production. Okay. We numbered these productions. I'll show it again. We numbered these productions. S implies capital A is first production. Capital A implies small a, capital A is second production. Capital A implies B is third production. With the help of this, we are using this production number to replace the reduction operation. So I6 is indicating the second production. Therefore, reduce it by second production. That is I6, R2, R2, R2 on all these symbols. So once you fill this table, now you are ready. Your parse table is ready. And as I told you, there are 4 operations, 4 actions that will be performed by SLR parser. One is shift operation, a reduce operation, accept operation, error operation. Okay. Assuming SI is the top of the stack and AI is the current input symbol, with this combination, either of these 4 operations will be performed. How this is performed? Let us understand this. Let's say this is the stack contents S0, X1, S1, X2, so on, XM, SM. Here, S0, S1, so on, SM are the states, X1, X2, XM are the input symbols. Okay, and this is the input AI plus 1, so on, AN followed by a dot. The combination is you need to check the topmost symbol of the stack, SM, with the current symbol from left to right. So let us say it is AI. So this is the combination SM, AI. If that action of SM comma AI is shift S in the table, then the changes will be done like this. Shift S means that shift the symbol AI onto the stack and also the corresponding state S. Okay, AI followed by S will be added into stack. And the input is reduced. AI is removed and the remaining input will be there. Okay, so if the action is reduce A implies beta, you need to understand this properly. Then based on the length of this beta, remove that many symbols from top of the stack, and then add these two, capital A and S. What are capital A and S? The match of the handle, beta is the handle, the corresponding LHS is capital A, add it to the stack, and then what is this S? This is crucial. Generally, you'll make a mistake over here. This S is calculated as go to of the last symbol on stack before this capital A, comma this one. Okay, so go to of this combination S M minus R, comma capital A, and there will be no change in the input. Okay, this is a reduce operation. And if it is accept, just halt, your string is accepted. If there is no entry in the table, it means it is error, then perform error recovery operation. Right? Let us understand this with the help of an example. Say the string at which I want to parse is small a bb, which can be generated from the grammar. So this should be accepted. So initially stack contains the first state 0, and the input symbol is ABB, and I'll add a dollar symbol to indicate the end of input. And what is the action here? On I0, this is state 0 with symbol A. State 0 with symbol A. What is the action suggested here? With 0 A. What is the action? S3, shift 3. The action is shift 3. So S3. So what does it mean? Move this A onto the stack and also the corresponding state number 3. So now the stack is 0A3 and the remaining input is BB dollar. Now the combination is 3 on B. 3 on B. What is the entry in the table? 3 on B means I3 on B. What does it mean? It is saying S4. S4. The action is S4. What does it mean? Move this B onto stack and the state number 4. So it is B4. 0A3 B4 and the remaining string is B dollar. Now it is 4 on B. 4 on B. What is the action here? I4 on B is reduce 3. R3. Okay. R3 means what you need to do is how many symbols are there in third production? R3 means third production. What is the third production? Third production is A implies B. How many symbols are there? Only one symbol. Only one symbol is there. So twice the number of symbols will be removed from the stack. Twice the number of symbols will be removed from the stack. That means R3 means remove this B4 from the stack. B4 will be removed. Twice the number of symbols will be removed. And then what will be added here? The left hand side of the production, which we are using. What is the left hand side of production? Capital A. It is added. Capital A is added. And how this 6 came? It is go to of 3 comma A. Look into the table. What is go to of 3 comma A? What is go to of 3 comma A? This is go to table. 3 comma A. What is it? 6. So go to of 3 comma A is 6. So that is how 6 came. If you can calculate this properly, then you are done. You understood it properly. Otherwise, you need to practice more. Okay. Next. Now the combination is 6 on B. 6 on B. What is that saying? 6 on B says that reduce to. Reduce to. R2 is capital A implies small a, capital A. How many symbols are there? 2 symbols are there. So remove 4 symbols from stack. That means 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 symbols will be removed. A3, A6 will be removed. So you are left with 0 only. And in place of this entire thing, we add the LHS of the corresponding production. What is the LHS of the production? LHS of the second production is capital A. So we add it. Capital A is added. Okay. And then how this come? Go to of 0 comma A. Go to of 0 comma A in the table 0 comma A is 2. So it comes out here 0, 8. Now the combination is 2 comma b. 2 comma b says that shift 4, so b comes over here along with 4, b4. Now it is 4 comma dollar, reduce 3, and if you reduce with 3, two symbols will be removed, b4 will be removed, and a will be added. Go to of 2 comma a is 5, so it will be added here. And then 5 on dollar is reduce 1. 1 contains two symbols, so remove 4 symbols from this tab. So a2, a5 will be removed, and then the symbol, starting symbol s will be added here. Okay, because reduce 1 means that the first production. Reduce 1 means that first production. What is the LHS of first production? It is S. So it is added here. Capital S is added here. Go to of 0 comma S is 1. So it is coming here. So 1 comma dollar. 1 comma dollar is accept. You can see it in the table. 1 comma dollar is I1 comma dollar is accept. So the string is accept, which means this string belongs to the corresponding graph. Okay, this is how the parser works. Okay, so I hope you understood it. You practice this example again, and the number of times you practice this, you will understand the concept. And the important thing is, in your examination point of view, there will be problem given to design the parser, respective parser. So you should understand the steps involved in design of these parsers. Okay, so that's all for today. When we come back, we'll discuss about the other types of parsers, and we see how to design, and we solve some examples also. Thank you.